Auburn is paying players. Can you believe Auburn is paying players? It's a brand new Village Vice. He's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. Hope you had a great Christmas and you're ready to kind of get into, there's so many sweet foods at Christmas, Zach, that I'm feeling like we need a little balance to that. Little balance to the sweet. How do you balance sweet? With salty. And a little salt to throw around if we're okay with it on today's show. Which is brought to you by mybookie.ag. And right now you have two different codes you can use. If you're a casino person, use the promo code TNR Casino altogether. TNR Casino. That's a 300% sign-up bonus for the casino. If you're more of a sports book guy or gal, then use the promo code NEXTROUND for a 50% sign-up bonus in the sports book, all at mybookie.ag. Zach, can you believe Auburn's paying players to get them here in the portal?
Did you hear that? Weird thing. Such a weird thing. And both Auburn folks and folks outside of the fan base are saying, well, the only reason Auburn's getting these guys is because of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, it's like really cool to everybody when they got Naeem offered to flip from Ohio State to Oregon on signing day.
Yeah.
It's really cool when they talk about, all of the money that Ohio State has that got him into the playoff and all the pressure it then puts on Ryan Day, all of the money that Michigan is shelling out to flip, LSU's quarterback or Oregon's got Nike money. Watch out. Like it's cool there.
Yeah. Yeah. Underwood
doesn't seem to be cool under Auburn for some reason.
Yeah. It's like a backhand. It's like a slight when you say Auburn spends money on players, which, by the way, is part of college football. That's part of it. Can you believe that guy took out a mortgage to own his house? Well, yeah, that's
the process.
That's how you do it.
Most people do it. Yeah, right.
Nobody, I don't remember one article. And now, again, kind of like what we talked about with the AP poll, I get traditional media is kind of going by the wayside. And we're so thankful for that because it means that the anti-Auburn narratives aren't the only narratives that are out there now in media. But I don't remember one traditional article some 20 years ago that talked about Alabama buying its way to titles when they started the ball rolling on this huge financial situation that we're in college athletics when they paid Nick Saban $3 million a year to be their head coach. This whole money out of proportion deal in college athletics started in December of 2006 when they made that hire. That was such an astronomical change in coaching salary. Bob Stoops followed. USC followed. Like all of this began with that decision. And there wasn't one backhanded or regular slap in the media about using money in a negative sense. You know what it was? It was, well, look at the commitment that they're showing.
Yeah.
Well, dadgummit, Auburn fans are now showing that kind of financial commitment. And quite frankly, it's a financial commitment that they haven't quite been willing to show in my lifetime to say, okay, what does it take? We're willing to step up and do what it takes.
Well, and I think that goes back to what we saw like when Carnell Williams took over as interim head coach, and we all talk about that iconic win over Texas A&M where both teams really weren't that good, but it felt like everything was on the line.
Yeah.
That was so symbolic because Auburn, for the first time, really since I've been following the team, they were so aligned. And they hired a guy in Hugh Freeze that you can say what you want, but he is good at getting money people on the right page. You can say what you want about his scheme and all that, and I'm there with you. I've got questions about it. But as far as from an organizational standpoint of getting all of the power players in a row, he's great at that. Yep. He's fantastic at that. And we're seeing what success in that part of the job looks like. And it's money, and it's a lot of it. And Auburn is extremely competitive when it comes to NIL.
And it's people who are giving $100 a month. It's people who are giving 5-figure amounts, 6-figure amounts. It's not just the big fish, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of involvement. It's mostly
the big fish, though.
Yes, but you can't just do it with the big, unless you have more big fish than you've had previously. And Auburn does. They've got big fish that are involved at a rate higher than they've had previously. But that's what alignment is. Like that, or that's what alignment gives you. And it's what Saban did at Alabama. It's what Kirby has done at Georgia. It's what Dabo was able to get lined up for a while with his program as well. Alignment, whether that's financial or whether that is, in the old days, it was facilities, which also went back to a financial component. But this idea that, like, first of all, money is a negative factor in recruiting in today's landscape, that doesn't make sense.
No.
So Joseph Goodman put out an article on either Christmas, no, a couple days before Christmas.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, the transfer class is getting a lot of money coming in, and all these guys are getting paid. And now, you get this, when's the last time Auburn had a team this talented and deep? You have to go back a long way. Very next line. And if Auburn gave Cam Newton a little cake on the side, it wasn't a big enough slice for what he was worth. So what we're doing there is we're linking scandal to what's happening now. By the way, the NCAA investigated, and they said that Auburn did no wrong, and they cleared Auburn in the Cam Newton investigation in 2011, in case we've forgotten about that, because it is documented and part of history. But that's the tactic. The tactic is to try to link something that was scandalous to something that's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no scandal with what is happening now. Auburn's just aligned, and they're doing work on the NIL side of things.
Yeah. Now I do understand if you're on the outside looking in. The weird thing is it's coming from inside the house. Like Auburn people are pointing this out too. So if you're a fan of the Big Ten or the Pac-12, and like you're not really like super familiar, like what Auburn is, they're every few years they can do something in the SEC in different sports and all that, whatever. Like you get the general idea of it. I can understand how this looks weird. When you look at the top 20 recruiting classes, and Auburn's the only one with a losing record. When you look at the transfer portal rankings, and Auburn's got, one of the top 5-ish quarterbacks in the portal, the top 2 offensive tackles, the top wide receiver. Like, I can get how it looks funny and strange and maybe even fishy, but it's not. It's not fishy because it's against the rules, or it's not against the rules to pay players anymore. And so for folks to say, all of this, well, the only reason they're going there is because they're getting paid. It's like, okay, like that's one, super lazy. 2, not against the rules. And 3, like overall, it's just like, it's not the dig that you think it is. So it's very strange. It's a very strange phenomena, and I've only seen it. Now we're in it, right? We're in it when it comes to Auburn, but that's the only fan base where I've seen the narrative happen. Like there are other teams that are overachieving in the portal and recruiting based off of what their record is, but I don't know. It's odd that it's only being like Auburn's the only school being called out for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, do you think Oregon has won 10 plus games in 4 straight years? Like, because Dan Lanning is only a great tactical coach? Like,
no, that's not how college football works. You got to do it all.
Right. You got to get players. How do you get players today in college football? Like we've got to get past this idea that money is something negative. Now it was for a long time. I get it.
Well, and there's another aspect of this too. The lazy part that I referred to is I think you're really assuming that these kids and the only thing they care about is money, which isn't true. I've talked to double-digit kids, both recruits coming in and portal guys and guys currently on the roster, that have said, I've been offered more money elsewhere, but I still chose Auburn.
Yep, absolutely.
But man, that does not fit the narrative at all, does it?
And if you can think back, those watching us now, if you're a little older, you've been through multiple jobs in your life. Can you ever think back to a time where you took maybe a little, I'm not talking about a bunch less, like 30% less, but I've done it. I took a job with a lower salary because the work was something that I enjoyed more, and the place where I was going to live was more. Auburn's a top 15 program all time in terms of wins.
Sure.
The facilities don't take a back seat. The game day
No, not
experience
anymore.
doesn't take a back seat. Guys go to the NFL. Now, you know, there are a couple of position groups there where we're working to get back to putting guys in the league regularly. But at other, like, there's not a dearth of history at all. Yeah. It's my word for that. I had the glasses on, so I had to use it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, hang on. It ain't like there's no history. All right. So there's plenty. And oh, by the way, you get to spend a few years in Auburn, Alabama, where people are moving to like crazy to raise families and just to live. One of the fastest growing populations in the Southeast. So anyway, we got to move past this narrative. What Auburn is spending in NIL compensation, I don't have the figure in front of me. You'll never convince me that it's astronomically greater than Tennessee or Florida or Ole Miss or Florida State or some of these other places. It's not just the money. Get off of that.
Yep, I'm with you. There's plenty of things at Auburn that haven't worked well the last 2 years. There's plenty of things you can point at and say, this needs to get better. Why would you go there?
Yeah.
But attacking Auburn for being aligned and having money, that's not it. That's not the dig that you think it is.
And coming
or
from
entirely accurate, to be fair.
Right. Coming from rival fans, it sounds and smells a little like concern.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, can you imagine if John Cohen went on Twitter and said, like, yo, we need more money, much like Alabama's AD did. Like, yo, like, we've been great for a long time, but we need you to give more money, please. Like, that's
and we're gonna do
wild.
And we're gonna do this brand new. Yeah, now I wasn't gonna bring that up specifically, but I'm glad you did.
Right after they like don't make the playoff.
So
wait
John
2 days,
did
bro. Just wait 2 days.
Right. John did send something out, I think, to season ticket holders because ticket prices are going up because revenue sharing is coming in. But what they're doing there is they're letting their people know, about an increase that's going to happen probably. I mean, it's going to happen everywhere. It's unavoidable everywhere. They're taking an asset that already exists and they're going to change the value appropriation on some of it. Not every season ticket is going up, but some of them are, a noticeable amount.
But that's also just like how you do business, though. Like if you're selling software and you're a sales rep and you're going to send it to all of your clients saying like, hey, we had to hire new IT people to run this. It's going up 5% whenever y'all get your new deals. Like that's just part of it.
Sure.
That's part of doing business.
Yeah. Look, minimum wage goes up. The price on the menu goes up at a restaurant, or the price of the axe or the hammer or whatever at the department store, the hardware store goes up. That's how
axe and hammer is what you went with first.
Sure. Well, I went restaurant first. I went food first. Big boy going to go food first. But then
you sought out the axe and the hammer from the hardware store. I think that was premeditated. What's going on there?
You think it's premeditated?
I think you're like, I'm going to find a way to bring up the current cost of axes and hammers. What's going on?
Whatever
they
are.
A tree?
What if I am? What if that's what I want to do in my leisure time, Zach? What if I want to fell up the trees?
Okay. How thick are these trees we're talking about? What's the girth of these trees?
Well, it's not dearth. Dearth would be a lack of trees.
I know.
Now, if you want to know about the girth of trees,
there it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
That's different. They'd be 45 girth units. I don't know how you measure girth. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Let me put a bow on this real quick.
Okay.
What the Alabama AD did is said, we want you to pay more money, and we're going to give you a brand new service for that money, and it's going to be you know what he announced? He announced War Eagle Plus. He announced this thing that Auburn did a year and a half ago. So it's like a subscription-based content platform.
But Auburn is being tied, Auburn having money, being organized, not being tied to scandal, even though they're a year ahead of other folks. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Hey, did you get any row back for folks?
Yes,
over Christmas.
I did, and
I bought this for myself too for Christmas.
It looks phenomenal. Yeah, I think I have that same one. It's great. It's the only thing that's got any red in it, I think, that I own. the only thing.
Yeah, but it's not like it's like a lighter red,
Right.
you know, like
It's like a salmon color.
Yeah, salmon. Yes.
There you go. And I also saw the pictures all over social media of people who ordered Rowback and thanked us for turning them on to it.
We turned it on all right.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
And it's time for you to turn it on. How about this? Turn on some savings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Go to rowback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use promo code VICE20 for 20% off your order today. What's next, Brad? What are we tackling next?
You want to go JUCO today? No, how about this? All right, while I'm wound up.
Okay.
I think we disagree on this, and I need to get the audience's feedback.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, bowl game that came on today, Toledo and Pittsburgh. It's the day after Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And they go to you always do in TV, you're going to do an opening shot of the venue or the city or, the location. It's a location shot. It's an establishing shot. And then they go to the booth. And the two guys calling the game are in tacky Christmas sweaters.
Got it.
Okay. That made me irrationally mad. I don't want my announcers in Christmas sweaters because that says they're not taking the game seriously. And I get it's a bowl game and it's not serious, but they're talking about the players fighting before the game and how lots on the line, and they're in tacky Christmas sweaters. I don't want Christmas sweaters on my announcers. I don't want dogs in the booth. I don't want food in the booth. You're there to do a job. You're there to broadcast a game. Mm-hmm. You don't matter. Your personality doesn't matter. The game is the star. Call the game. If you want your personality to matter, do a podcast, do a radio show, do a TV show. Mm-hmm. All right? But the game is the star. Let the game be the star. This goes also to, I don't want you talking about the playoff during the game. Mm-hmm. I want to know about the game. Mm-hmm. I don't want you talking about what you did for what you're going to do New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. I want to know about the game. If I'm watching the game, then I care about the game. Mm-hmm. That just, does that bug anybody else the way that it bugs me?
No, I totally get where you're coming from. I don't disagree with you as much as I think you thought. I was going to disagree with you on that. I guess my rebuttal to that is why does it matter? I mean, I definitely agree. I think we need less in-game commentating.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't need opinion from them. I don't need a ton of personality.
Yeah.
I want to know the details of the game or whatever. And I think that's why we see so much success when there's some of these big games and you see the Manning cast on Monday Night Football. That's what that is.
Yeah.
I'm tuning in to watch the Mannings chit chat with whoever.
Sure.
While the game is on. I'm not there. That doesn't work because of the Monday night game. It works because of the personality and it's billed as that. Mm-hmm. I love the stuff that Amazon is doing now where you can track the analytics.
Sure.
And all that. And it's about the game. It's pure raw data that you can kind of do whatever you want with from the game. It always does well. When you're in the national championship or whatever, and you can, one of the ESPN feeds is the local radio broadcast. Cause it's okay, these are my people.
Yeah.
I think we're getting farther and farther away from what we know as in-game commentary, unless it's dressed up as a Manning. The Manning cast is a podcast that they do while a game is going on.
Right.
And it's billed as that.
Yeah.
I don't need the Manning cast if I'm actually watching a game that I care about.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But I also think just the way people consume stuff is dropping off a little bit. And so if you're ESPN or you're CBS or ABC or whatever, you do need to find a way to keep people coming back and to build up your personal, your talent that you're choosing to pay and not get rid of. And they're kind of put themselves in a weird spot where I don't really know how you can do both at the same time. And they're trying to.
Yeah, I guess. And this comes from a really niche point of view as a guy who's, interested in broadcasting games and I do a few, when I do women's basketball games for SEC Plus, there are certain things, you promote other broadcasts, but you
Part of being on a network. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But you do that during free throws or coming in and out of commercial breaks. And there's a time for it. There's a time for everything. And I can remember a time when Isaac, you remember the Isaac Okoro dunk against Vanderbilt where he completely went in and wrecked the Vandy dude. And it's like his biggest poster dunk he had at Auburn. There was no conversation going on about that dunk interrupted the conversation of the announcers on the air about something totally separate.
Yeah.
It's like it woke them up to call the play. And man, I think if your audience is watching the game, they care about the game. And if they're not watching the game, then they're not in, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not interested in the game. The game then doesn't interest them. So have a more compelling game.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I get it.
That's my rant.
I get
don't
it.
need all the other stuff from my announcers.
I get it. Hey, head over to thebarnauburn.com. Subscribe today. A lot of portal stuff. There's still a few more roster spots, both on the coaching staff too. There'll be a few more ads before spring semester starts. Like a week and a half or so. So be sure to check it out. Thebarnauburn.com. Go subscribe today. A lot of fun stuff going on there. You want to talk about JUCO rulings or basketball in our final few minutes here?
That's a good question. Let's go with JUCO.
I would have bet a lot of money you're going to say basketball. Not going to lie to you. So the JUCO stuff is super interesting. And we're talking about Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, sues the NCAA.
Yeah.
Essentially asking for the eligibility that he used at the JUCO level to be added. He wanted another year. And anytime you sue the NCAA at this point, they're like, yeah, okay, cool. Sorry. So sorry we inconvenienced you, which then sets a really interesting precedent moving forward. And so, over the weekend it feels like it's the weekend. It's not, It's Thursday, but over, the Christmas holidays, reports surfaced that Keontae Scott is entering the portal because he's no longer out of eligibility because he's a JUCO guy. And there are reports that Xavier Miller's got extra eligibility. And so Auburn's offensive line is super deep all over the place now. And it's like, what are they going to do with all these guys? And I'm just curious to see what the long-term impact of this is. Because if you're able to get a JUCO guy, like the trade-off with getting JUCO guys is like, sure, they're more ready in most cases than high school kids, but you don't get them for as long. Well, now with the portal, like if you're not starting a guy, you lose a lot of these guys anyway, and you don't have to sacrifice the length of time that you have them as much. And I'm just curious what you think the long-term implications of this is, because I do think there are going to be some coaches that may look at this and say, like, look, the floor is higher with some of these JUCO guys, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I think the JUCO talent pool will get a little better because maybe a high school guy doesn't need to accept an offer at a school maybe further away.
Yeah.
It's a D1 school, but it's a group of 5 school and it's further away, but it's his best offer. When instead he can go to a junior college a little closer to home and it's not going to impact the length of his career after junior college.
Yeah.
It is interesting. We're moving. We say this all the time. You're moving toward the NFLization of college football, where your roster is going to be rebuilt every year,
right?
Potentially significantly. So, how much do you see coaches go the JUCO route over the high school route? I don't think you're going to see 7, 8, 9 JUCO guys, but you might see 1 or 2 or 3 every year. And maybe that helps fill out the expanded roster. If the rosters are going to bump to 105, that's going to help you with that. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
It is. And I think it's fascinating. I'm higher on JUCO guys than most people are. Malzahn got a lot of flack for a lot of things, but one of them was like how many JUCO guys he brought in. I'm like, normally they were worth it. And normally I was like, they were solid players. So I've never really been against JUCO signings. I like them more than the average person that follows Auburn or college football as a whole. But now I certainly like it. I certainly like it because there's really no downside at this point because you don't have to sacrifice the eligibility.
That's right. Here's an interesting question. If we look back to the last 20 years of JUCO signees, would the success rate, and that's subjective, but would the success rate be greater or less than 50%?
Oh, I don't know. I bet it's on average of like what a typical high school signing is.
See, I would not think so.
You think it's higher or lower?
I think it's higher. I would think it's higher.
I would think at Auburn, it's definitely higher.
Yeah. See, that's why I said that. Like, I think it'd be way over 50%. Now, I'm sure there are guys I'm not think like if the ones that aren't successful, you just probably don't remember them. So you don't remember that you had them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would, if we sat down and took the time in the near future to compile that list, I bet it'd be over 50%.
Of like a success rate?
Yeah.
Which you take.
Absolutely. Yeah. If a guy's if you have a coin flip and you have a better than 50% chance of winning the coin flip, you go ahead and do that.
Yeah. You just know so much more about the player when you bring them on.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like reacclimate them to like they're good. They're ready to go. And for some reason, we don't count them as portal additions. We count them as high school guys.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you got a 3-year starter in the Sun Belt, you're probably not taking the JUCO guy over that guy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if you have a true freshman coming out of high school or a 2-year JUCO starter, for that reason, you know more
especially
about
if the same amount of eligibility.
Correct. Now? Yeah, that's a good point.
I think this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a big deal. So we'll see. We'll see. And does JUCO get more enticing now to some of those top players, or maybe like that next tier where it's like, I can go play now and then not impact my eligibility or something. So
maybe
this is going to have a trickle down effect. I'm pretty sure.
But what's the financial implication of going to junior college? They're not going to have the NIL budget. The NIL
it's a good point.
Component is a whole lot different.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. So, Brad, does that do it for today's show?
I think it does.
Okay.
We'll say the basketball hype ain't going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
We'll pick up on that.
It's not going anywhere
in the future. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for subscribing, for commenting. We'll read those the rest of the day. And remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.